Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the session. In the last class, we have seen about service and namespace, right? Okay. So in today's session, we are going to see the concept of HPA and VPA. That is horizontal pod auto scaling and vertical pod auto scaling. Okay. Wait. And for today's class, Minikube is enough. Or if you want to provision KOps, that is also enough actually. Okay. I'll go and provision the KOps actually. Let me start the KOps cluster. If you remember in the last class, I stopped the server, right? So again, I'm going to restart it. So this time I'm not going to run the entire script. Only last command kops create cluster is enough. Why? Because you have kops installed in the server, kubectl installed on the server, and bucket is also created, right? So enter from the scratch. I'm not going to begin everything here. So if I go to running servers and let's take Mobaxstorm. Start local terminal. And like what is a namespace and why we need to use it in the meanwhile? Use it to divide cluster into multiple teams, and it provide but security. Now to provide security, which concept we need to use? RBAC. RBAC stands for role based access. We create user, we create role, and we attach the role to the user. That's it. And one other thing is from tomorrow onwards, 9 AM batch is going to start. Tomorrow 17th only, right? So I remember that few of your friends want to join on that new batch, right? So if anyone of your friends want to join that batch, refer them. Okay. If you felt it is good, you will refer him. Okay. I mean, if you're satisfied by this course, then only refer. Don't refer. Okay. Uh, Yeah. And one more thing, guys. If you get a error of like a COPS validation failed. So for this one, what is the troubleshooting technique I say? State store error. If you get state store error, you are going to run the export command. Which command? Export. Then only it will work. Otherwise, it will not work. So I'm going to create a new cluster. So first of all, give the command COPS get cluster. Here already I have a cluster. I think this cluster got really deleted. Kubectl get node. Okay. So I'll go and create a new cluster now. So COPS create cluster, but this time name of the cluster I'm gonna give it as Raham 007. That is the name of the cluster. Raham 007. So now see, with the help of that single command, my entire cluster is creating or not, sir? That is the power of KOPS actually. Okay. So after that, update the cluster, and finally you need to go and validate. So COPS validate cluster and run this one. So in the meanwhile, our cluster will be going to ready in the backend. So you need not to worry about anything. So let's go and discuss the concept first of all. So in today's session, I'm going to teach the concept of scaling actually. Which one? What is the meaning of scaling? To add the increasing of what? We don't want to increase servers here. We want to increase pods, right? So the concept name is here we are going to deal for today's session is going to be scaling. Which one? Scaling refers to increasing the count actually. Scaling refers to what? Scale. Scaling refers to increasing count. That can be servers, that can be pod, that can be anything. But scaling means increasing. That's it I want to tell for you. My first point. Okay. So same thing I'm gonna give for your notes also. Where is this one? Here. So scaling refers what, sir? Increasing the count. Okay. So basically, when it comes to scaling, we do have two type of scaling, sir. How many types? First one is horizontal. Second one is vertical. So I'll explain what is the meaning of horizontal and what is the meaning of vertical. Horizontal means we are going to create the new server. I mean like a new pod. Here I'm talking about pods. Okay. Vertical means existing. I'll make it very clear. See, if you go to the diagram, sir, in this diagram, what exactly I'm trying to tell now is I have the pod. For example, let's say this pod have 1 CPU and 1 GB of RAM. This pod have 1 CPU and 1 GB of RAM. So basically what I do is if I make it 2 GB of RAM and 2 CPUs, then it is called as vertical increment. Vertical means for the existing one only, we are going to improvise the features like CPU and RAM. Horizontal means you are going to create a new one. So I can tell this is vertical. Like let me give the arrow. So the only pod which you are having, if you try to give more CPU and more RAM, so that is called as vertical. But it's not like that if you keep increasing the number of CPU and number of pod, then that is what I can call as horizontal. That is a small difference. That's it. This is the only point you need to remember. Vertical means for existing pod, you are going to give more CPU and more RAM. Horizontal means instead of giving more CPU and more RAM for the existing one, you are going to create the new pods. Is the logic clear for all of you? That is the reason I have put here. Horizontal means new and vertical means. So here we are going to do horizontal pods or vertical scaling in real time. Means if you ask me, in real time we go for horizontal scaling only. Vertical scaling we won't go. We definitely need to go for the horizontal scaling. Okay. But here my question is, sir, how, based upon what factors you are going to scale the pods? See, you are telling that you want to scale the pods, but how you scale the pods? What is the purpose? For example, let's see the smallest example. Here, what I'll be doing, I have 100 users for my pod. This pod is serving to 100 users. Unfortunately, if users are increasing, ultimately what I need to do, I need to create some more new pod or not, sir? Why? Because the CPU utilization is going more than 70%. For example, I'm taking 70%. If the first pod CPU percentage is 70%, then I need to go for second pod. Why? Because if I don't go for second pod, this will go to 80, 90, 100. Ultimately, pod will crash. Correct or not? Similarly, in the same way, after getting second pod, for this second pod also, I am getting lot of users. Again, this second pod also now increasing to up to 70%. Second pod CPU is also going to increase up to. Then ultimately, what I need to do now? I need to go for new pod. Correct or not, sir? So I'll be going here and I'll be creating a new pod. So like this, I'm going to set a value that is 50, 60, 70, 80, my choice. I can put whatever choice I want. If the pod CPU is increasing the given value, if the pod CPUs are increasing more than given value, then ultimately I'll create a new pod. Okay, that's it. For example, let's take in a simple way. I'm going to talk about horizontal scaling here. So go this one. For example, let's go and take a replica set. What I am trying to take here, I think all of you know replica sets. So I'll be taking two pods. How many pods? These two pods I'm going to take. So pod number 1, pod number 2. So I'll put a value, sir. That value is up to my choice. I can put 50, 60, 70, 80. It's up to my choice. If both pods average is taking more than 50%, both pods average. Okay. So if taking more than 50%, then I need to create a new pod. For example, let's say first pod average is 50. Second pod average is also 50. I mean like a utilization. So 50 plus 50, 100, 100 by 2, 50. It's fine. But if not like that, first pod CPU utilization is 60%. And second pod, CPU utilization is 50%. Now, what is the value? 110 by 2. Is it increasing more than my 50 or not, sir? Then ultimately, my auto scaling group will create a new pod. Okay. So here I can put some value. This value is up to my choice. If two pods are exceeding, two pods average is exceeding, then this value automatically new pod will come. Okay. So this type of scaling is what we can call as horizontal pod auto scaling. So first of all, point number one, what is scaling? Increasing the count. Why we need to increase the count? Because if number of users are increasing, so we need to increase the pods actually. So coming to the pod scaling, how many type of scalings we do have? Two. What are those? Horizontal and vertical. Horizontal means new. Vertical means existing. Which one we gonna prefer on real time? Horizontal, right? So in horizontal pod auto scaling, how we are going to scale the pods based upon the average value. Which value? Average value we are going to scale it up. So is the structure clear for all of you till now? Everybody. Online, can you please confirm me? Is the concept clear for all of you till now? Fine. So now, okay, sir, fine. You are saying that you are going to scale the pod based upon average of CPU utilization or memory utilization. But my question is, how do you get the value of CPU and memory of a pod? Take this apart. So I'm not going to talk about scaling now. I'm going to mark it as a sidebar. Okay, just make it aside. Now my question is, you are going to do the scaling based upon CPU and RAM. But how will you get the CPU and memory of a pod? That is the main question. So here we are going to use something called as metric server. Which one? That means first of all, you need to learn about metric server. Then only you can go for the horizontal pod order scaling and vertical pod order scaling. Let me give a brief about the metric server. Basically, metric server main purpose is to, if we install metric server in Kubernetes cluster, it can collect the CPU, RAM from all the pods and all the nodes in the cluster. So first point, remember this one. So metric server main purpose is to collect the metrics like CPU and RAM from all the pods and all the nodes. For example, you have a cluster. Inside the cluster, you have two nodes. In two nodes, you have 10 pods. It can collect metrics of every node and every pod. And to collect the metrics, we are going to use the command called kubectl top. And you can give PO. PO stand for pod and NO stand for to get the node of a pod, kubectl top pod. To get the metrics of node, kubectl node. So previously, this metric server can be called as hipster. This might be interview question for the experienced people. Why? Because while giving proxy for one of the experienced person, they asked this question actually. Basically, nobody knows about hipster these days. Initially, not now, very long ago, very long ago, metric server is called as hipster, but currently we are going to call it as metric server. What is the main agenda of metric server? To collect the metrics of a metrics means CPU and RAM only. Metrics of what? Pod and node. Is it clear for all of you? Correct. So now if you go to the metric server offerings, basically metric server will be created like a deployment actually. Deployment means multiple pods. For example, let's say it is going to collect the metrics for every 15 seconds. That means, for example, if I have the cluster, let me draw out a cluster. So you'll be getting some additional clarity. So it is my cluster, let's say. Inside my cluster, I do have master node and worker node. So in each of the node, this metric server is going to create like a pod. In each of the node, this metric server will be creating like a pod. And this one is going to collect all the information about this node. I'm installing metric server in each and every node. But in each and every node, metric server will be installing like a pod. So now if I install metric server like a pod, for example, in this node, I have 10 pods. How many pods? 10 pods. This 10 pods information is going to collect by the metric server. Okay. And similarly, in this node, I have 10 other pods. Okay. So automatically these 10 other pods information is going to collect by the metric server and it is going to send to the master node. Which node? Like that. Okay. So basically here the thing you need to understand is we create the pods on the worker nodes. Okay. But how this pod information like metric CPU and RAM will go to the master node means in the worker node I am installing a metric server. That metric server will be installing like a pod and this pod will go and take the information of all the pods and the node information and send it to the which node? Master node. Correct. Okay. So resource efficiency, it will use 1 millicore of CPU and 2 gigs of RAM. That means, sorry, 2 gigs, not 2 MB, I can say. That means, sir, here you are installing the metric server like a pod. But this metric server will consume 1 millicore of CPU from your worker node and 2 MB from your worker node. For example, let's take your worker node will have 1 CPU and 1 GB of RAM. 1 CPU and 1 GB of RAM. From this 1 CPU as well as 1 GB of RAM, okay, this metric server pod is there, na? This metric server pod. This will consume 1 millicore CPU as well as 2 MB of RAM. So this metric server want that, otherwise it will not work actually. In the same way, it can be scalable up to 5,000 worker nodes. For example, your cluster node will have 5,000 worker nodes. This metric server can collect the information of 5,000 worker nodes. You know how big the Kubernetes is actually? Kubernetes can create 5,000 worker nodes total. How many worker nodes? And each node is having capable of maintaining 110 pods. How many pods? 5,000 nodes and 110 pods. And one of the craziest factories, you know, ChatGPT, right? ChatGPT is running on Kubernetes only. Really, man, ChatGPT is running on top of Kubernetes cluster only. Okay. Fine. So these are the metric server offerings. Again, I'm going to tell. So metric server will be creating like a deployment and it can collect the metrics of for every 15 seconds. Basically, we use this for auto scaling property. Okay. So resource efficiency. That means metric server will use 1 millicore of CPU as well as 2 memory of, I mean like 2 MB of RAM from the each node. And it can be supportable up to, that means from the 5,000 worker nodes, we can get the metrics actually. Okay. So basically, what is the use case? Use case is we are going to use for both auto scaling and vertical scaling properties. Okay, sir. Now, if you want to install metric server, how do you install metric server? It is again very super cool. If you go to my GitHub, Raham Sheikh, all setups. So now, if you go and check here, are you seeing the metric server here? PQRM. Yep. So here metric server, you have it for Minikube and you have it for KOps. Which cluster I'm using now? So I'll copy this one. Okay. If it is Minikube, run the first two commands. If it is KOps, run the below link. That's it. Now the moment if I go, my cluster is ready. If I run this one, so automatically my metric server got installed. What is the command to check the information? Means kubectl top. First of all, I'll go and check the node information. Am I getting it now? No, by default, whenever if you install metric server, it will wait at least 30 to 40 seconds. We need to wait. That is the buffer time actually. Okay. After 30 to 40 seconds, or let's take 1 minute, less than 1 minute. After 1 minute, you go and run kubectl top command. That will go and work. Let's wait for some time. So in the meanwhile, this is the whole and sole concept of the metric server. So before scaling, first of all, you need to go for metric server. Why? Because if you want to scale, you need to have the CPU value. But how you get the CPU value from the metric server? So in your cluster, metric server is going to deploy like a pod and collect the metrics of CPU, RAM of each and every pod. But if I want to install metric server, this metric server will create like a pod in each of the worker node. But it take 1 millicore of CPU and 2 MB of RAM from our worker node. As well as it can be scalable up to how many nodes? 5,000 nodes. Correct. So is it clear for all of you till now about metric server? Online, what about you guys? Is metric server clear for all of you? Can you please confirm in chat box? Okay, it was clear. Great. So now I hope so. This is working now. Go ahead and check now. Are you getting it now? How many nodes I'm having? Three, one master and two worker nodes. If you go and see for master node, okay, how much of CPU is utilized here? How much of RAM? 48. And for worker node 1, how much of CPU and how much of RAM is utilized? And for worker node 2, 1% of CPU and 31% of. That means, can you see the live utilization of your CPU and memory or not, sir? But again, if I run this command after 15 seconds, it might change. It might change. Why? Because if you add some new ports or if you do some new workload, automatically it can change. Why? Because metrics server will collect metrics for how many seconds? Correct. Fine. So this is the way how exactly you are going to use metric server. Acha, okay. You said we use it the metric server. But here now my question is, how do you scale the ports? If I want to scale the ports, first of all, what I need to do? I need to create the pods or not, sir? So let's go and create the pod actually. Okay. So here I have the thing to create the pod actually. There are some other information which you need to know. So basically here, are you seeing this example, right? This example is nothing but whatever I explained here theoretically, these values. Same example I have written in the text format. Say for example, if you have pod 1 with 50% of load and pod 2 with 50% of load, average will be 50. So there is nothing going to happen. But if pod 1 value is 60 and pod 2 value is 50, then the average will be. Then here we need to create the pod 3. But why? Because it is exceeding the. And this average value depends upon our choice. We can put 50, 60, 70, 80. But in real time, as per the standard real time, the best value to put average is 60%. The best one, if you ask me. Like as per the real time environment, I'm saying. Fine. So here we need to collect the metrics server. Like here we need to use a metric server whose work is to collect the metrics. That means CPU and RAM. Metric server is connected to HPA to give the information to HPA. You can ask me the behind the scenes. I'm telling behind the scenes, sir. You are telling that if first pod is 60, second pod is 50, average is 55. Now automatically pod 3 you are creating now. How HPA know this 60% and 50% means automatically this metric server, whatever the metric server you created, this metric server will go and connect to the HPA automatically. Your horizontal pod autoscaler will be directly interlinked to the metric server. Now this metric server will send the metrics to HPA. Now automatically HPA will go and create the pods. Is the point clear for all of you? Write this as note point, all of you. Metric server will be directly connected to the metric server will be connected to the metric server will be directly connected to the HPA. HPA. Based on the values of metric server, HPA will increase the pods. Based upon the values of metric server, based upon the values of metric server, HPA will scale the pods. This is very, very important point you need to remember. Okay. Is the point clear for all of you? Great. So online, are the 2 points clear for all of you? Here metrics server is connected to HPA to give the information, and based upon the values, it is going to scale. And one more thing is basically metric server will collect the metrics for how many seconds? Again, this metric server will be linked to HPA, but HPA can take the values from metric server for 30 seconds. Let me show it on diagrammatical way. See, for example, whatever the point I said, I'm going to draw a diagram for you. See, like it is going to give more clarity for you. For example, if you go and see, first of all, it is my metric server. This concept is going to be like very, very super cool actually, but you need to have some patience to understand. So this is the metric server first of all. And after metric server, this metric server will be directly interlinking to which one, sir? HPA. HPA. That is horizontal pod autoscaler. Okay. So basically, metric server will take the metrics for every 15 seconds. But this HPA will take the values from metric server for every 30 seconds. Of course, metric server will collect metrics for every 15 seconds. But what I said, metric server will be linked to HPA. For every 30 seconds, this HPA will request the values from metric server for every 30 seconds. That is the point here. Okay. Don't confuse between 15 and 30. Metric server will take values from every, but HPA will take values from metric server for every. That is the whole point. If you don't know it, you can draw diagram like this for your even better clarity. Okay. Is that point clear for all of you? Great. So now what I'm going to do is here, I'll be going and I'll be creating a HPA. And one more thing guys, here there is a note point. You can do scaling for replica sets and deployment only. If you create a single pod, for single pod you cannot do scaling. That is the important point. In interview, they are going to ask a scenario. If you have a pod in your cluster, you create a pod in your cluster. Can you scale it? Basically, what you think? Now, pods means we can scale them by using HPA and VPA. You will think like this. But individual pods will not be scalable. Only the pods which you create from replicas and deployment, then only you can be scale it, or otherwise you cannot scale. Here I have given that. Scaling can be done only for scalable object. That means replica set, deployment and replication controller. Basically, there is a concept called replication controller. As of now, you don't know what it is. I'll tell on later. Okay. And HPA is implemented as Kubernetes API resource and a controller. Controller periodically adjusts the replicas in replica set and replication controller and deployment depending upon the average. And here there is something called as cooling period. I'll tell what is cooling period after showing the demo for you. So it is simply our deployment concept. Apart from that, nothing new here. It is our simply deployment. So what exactly I'm going to do is I'll go here vim abc.yml. I think all of you know deployment code, right? Oh, wait. Here already we have the last class code. Okay, you can use this one also. I'm having last class code now. You can also use this one. Of course, for service, if you want to use service, you can use, or otherwise it is not required. I mean, for this concept, it is not required, but if you want, you can use. So I'm removing it for your better purpose. Why? Because I want to explain concept as clear as possible. I don't want to make it complicated. Okay. So give the command kubectl create -f abc.yml. Now kubectl get PO. How many pods you are having now? 10, right? So of course, currently you created 10 pods, but in future, if you want to make it 20, or future, if you want to make it 30, you can make it. But what I'm doing, I don't want to make it 10. I want to make it 2 or 3 initially. Okay. Why? Because I want to keep as shortest format. Why? Because I have to work on nodes now. I'm going to make it 2. So give the command kubectl apply -f. Which one? Sir, what is the difference between create and apply? This is one of the interview question. When you are creating a resource for the first time, you can use create. No, sir, if already a resource is created, I want to modify the existing resource, then I can use the create is to create the resource, but apply is to modify the created resources. That means existed resources. So now I can give kubectl get PO. I'll get only 2 running pods. Are you seeing remaining or terminating? So in interview, they are going to ask the difference. What is the difference between create versus apply? Create is to create the resources. But if you already create the resource and if you want to modify the properties of an existing resource, in that case, you are going to use, it is interview question for you. Okay. So let's wait until the pods are terminated. Okay. I can explain the concept in a better way. How many pods are running now? Sir, these 2 pods are running on 2 different nodes. For example, -o void means I'll get the IDs. node IDs I'll get, okay? For example, if these two pods are running on two different nodes, for example, let's take. Now, if users are using the application automatically, for example, if you go and see this node one is getting lot of traffic, sir. Let me make it. For example, let's go and check this one. I have the cluster. Inside the cluster, I have two worker nodes. Okay. So all the users are using the application from this node only. So now automatically this node will get heavy traffic or not, sir? Okay. So automatically I need to scale the pods now. Why? Because users are accessing the node one, as well as similarly users are accessing the node two also. But in node one and node two, I have only one pod. So my capacity is not eligible to serve the users here. So in that case, I want to scale it now. So if you want to scale, I already set the concept to scale. That is kubectl scale deploy, and name of the deploy is gonna be movies hyphen replicas is equal to 10. I can scale like this. But what is the major disadvantage, that is going to be called as manual scaling. Which one? Sir, manually, can you scale all the time? So for example, your work time is morning 10 to evening 6. After that, you went to home and you went to movie. At that time, users are requesting a lot of services from the application. In that case, are you going to coming from movie and are you going to serve the users? Sir? No, right? You don't know when the load is going to increase. No one can define. You can't define and I can't define when the load will increase. So in that case, this distribution or this scaling need to be done automatically. How you can do it automatically means with the help of horizontal pod autoscaler. Okay. Here if you go and see, this is the command actually what you are going to use now. I'll explain this command. See, kubectl get deploy. First of all, let me get the deployment. What is the name of the deployment here? Movies deploy. Okay. Let me go and give movies deploy. It is the name. Now see, with the help of kubectl command, I am auto scaling the deployments. What I am auto scaling? Remember, you can auto scale deployments, you can auto scale replica sets, and you can auto scale replication controller. But pods, can you auto scale, sir? It is not possible. Okay, like that. With the help of kubectl, I am auto scaling the deployment. Deployment name is movies deploy. What is the percentage I am setting for the pods? 20. Minimum I required one pod, but maximum I required 10 pods. That is the concept you need to understand. That means maximum I can scale up to 10 pods. How it can scale means currently I'm having 2 pods, sir. It is a pod number 1. It is a pod number 2. If both the average of the pod is 20%, both average is 20%. Let's say first pod is 20%, second pod is, that's fine. But first pod is 30%, second pod is 20. What is average now? 25 or not, sir? 25 means, is it exceeding my limitation or not? So now automatically I'll create a new pod. Like this. Again, first pod 30, second pod 20, third pod 10. What is the average now? 60, right? 60 by 3, 20. It is fine. But first pod 30, second pod 20, third pod 40. Is it again exceeding my 20 or not, sir? Now automatically I need to create a. So like this, I am setting the minimum percentage of 20. But in real time, we can set 60. But for practical, I put 20. Minimum, how many pods you want? And maximum? That's it. The moment if you go and hit enter, now automatically what will happen, kubectl get auto scale or HPA. Are you getting the HPA here? So my horizontal pod auto scaler I have done for deployment movies. Target maximum value I set for 20, but targets currently there is no utilization. Okay. So minimum pods I required is 1 and maximum pods I required is 10. Now here, currently, if I go and get the kubectl get PO, what is the count of pods here? Count of pods, how many pods are there? 2 pods. If I go and give kubectl top pod, okay. Sir, this pods is using how much of CPU, sir? 1 millicore. But what is the minimum value I set now? 20% means I need to use at least 2 millicores, correct or not? So now how these pods are going to consume more CPU means I want to give more load to the pods. I want to give. So basically in real time, how will pod get the more load? Means if more users are trying to access the application, then this pod will get the load. But here we don't have much people to access the application. But manually, I'm going to put some load to the pod. Manually, I'm doing. Why? Because there are no people to access the pod now. So manually, I'll do the load to the pod. How you can do means, let me tell you. kubectl exec -it, name of the pod, as well as --/ bin / bash. That is the thing actually you need to require. Okay. If you give this command, exec is the command which you use it to run the commands inside the pod. How we use exec in the Docker? Same like kubectl exec means to execute the command. -it means interactive terminal. I'm executing the command on so and so this pod in the bin bash. Now I go here and I'll use the command apt update and apt install stress. You know stress command? Stress is the command which is used to increase the load. -y. And again, you no need to worry about these commands, guys. Here I already given the command actually. Okay. So kubectl exec, name of the pod -it / bin bash. Go update and run the command called stress. That's it. Okay. Now I'm gonna show you how the pods are going to create lively. For that purpose, I'll take the second terminal. What I'll take? cd desktop /keeper. Okay. The reason why I'm taking second terminal is to show you lively how the pods are going to create. I'll go for multi-execution mode and I'll put the screen side by side. You can see while I'm giving the stress, how the pods are going to create. So go here and I'll give the command kubectl get po -- watch. This command will watch the pods lively. If you go and see, pods are automatically created or not, sir? 1, 2, 3. How many pods created newly? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Automatically 8 new pods are created or not? How these got created? Why? Because the values are increased. If I go and stop this one, I'm gonna stop this one now. kubectl top PO. Are you getting the pods now? Each and everything is consuming 1 millicore of CPU now. And if I give kubectl get HPA, you can go. Percentage of target, it's required up to 1%. So like this, guys, we can scale the pods actually. Even though if you want me to scale additionally, what I can do, you know, let me come out of this one. Wait. Let me exit from this. I'll use Control D. Now give the command kubectl get PO. How many pods are there now? 10. Sir, these new pods just now created 1.5 minutes ago or not, sir? The moment after I give the apt install stress and everything, then only this command. What I'll do, you know, again intentionally I'll go and I'll edit this one. Now currently I want to scale maximum up to 20 pods. How many pods? 20 pods. Wait, already this HPA is existed. Wait. kubectl edit HPA. Name of the HPA will be move is deploy. Okay, I'm gonna edit the configuration. If you want to edit the any configuration, use the command kubectl edit. I'm editing the horizontal pod autoscaler. It is the name of the horizontal pod autoscaler. Previously, how many maximum you put, sir? 10. Now I want to put 20 maximum replicas. Now save this one. After save this one, kubectl get HPA. Now you can get maximum how many number of pods you can get? 20 pods. Now again I'll go and again manually I'll try to give some stress to my pod. Give the command stress command. What I'm giving? The moment if I give this stress command, here in the second node, I'm gonna show you how to watch the pods lively. If you want to watch the pods lively, that is the command actually. kubectl get po -- watch. The moment if I use stress command, see, manually I am running this command now. So timeout I'm gonna give. Oh, wait. Sorry. Here is not the command I want to give. I want to give command on this terminal. Sorry. And timeout, I'm giving 100 seconds. Now you can see I am taking some space here. Now automatically you are going to get the new ports from here. Why? Because I'm manually increasing the stress or not, sir? When you manually increase the stress, automatically new ports will come, but it will take some time. I'll tell you why it is taking some time. That is called as cooling period actually. Okay. Now check this. Are you creating the new pods now? Sir, why the new pods are creating? Why? Because for one pod, I am giving lot of stress. So if I'm giving a lot of stress for one pod, automatically the values will change. It will create and it will going to create the new pods or not, sir? How many new pods are creating now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Basically, here I'm manually showing you how to give the stress. But in real time, when users are accessing the application, some millions of users access the application, then only pod will get the stress. Otherwise, it won't get the stress. But here we don't have millions of users, no? That is the reason I'm giving the manual stress. Okay. Now you go and see automatically the pods got created. After some time again I'll go and again I'll create some new stress. Okay. So here though I just gone. I'm gonna stop this one. So I'll get the command KubeCut will get PO. How many pods are created now here? And if you don't know the count actually, just give WC-L. How many pods got created here? No, 21. See, this is the number of lines actually. Remove the first line. Remove the first line. So number of pods that we created is 20. That means when the load is increasing to one pod, automatically horizontal pod autoscaler is going to scale and give the desired number of pods or not, sir? This is how exactly it is working. You can see what is the percentage of the pod stress now? 99%. Which one? And after that, what is the best thing about HPA, you know? Initially, you create lot of pods when the load is increasing. When the load is, but when the load is decreasing, similarly, the pods are going to terminate. Why? Because we don't have much load. So now pods are going to terminate or not, sir? This is the best advantage. When load is there, it will increase the pods. When the load is less, it is going to decrease the pod. Now, currently, how many number of pods do I have? 20. What is the load percentage here? When this percentage drops off, my pod is also going to drop off or not, sir? Let's verify this one. Let's verify this one. But the one thing you need to understand is it won't reflect immediately. After some time, see, after 1 minute only it got reflected. Now, what is the percentage now? Target percentage 1. If I go and give the command, KubeCut will get PO. Still pods are running or not, sir? It won't terminate immediately. It will take some time. That is called as cooling period. Which one? Cooling period means when you scale the pods, okay. So pods will serve to n number of users. But when the load is decreased, pod will take some time to terminate. Pod will take some time to, that sometime is called as cooling period. Which one? The best example, can I tell you one thing? You can correlate with this best example actually. For example, you are talking with your favorite person in the WhatsApp or Instagram at late night. So ultimately, they'll tell a good night. After sending the message called good night, you also say good night. But will you go out of WhatsApp immediately? No, you will wait for 1 or 2 minutes to get some other message or not, sir? That 1 or 2 minutes is called as cooling period. The best example actually. Correct or not? So online, is the concept of cooling period clear for all of you? Can you please confirm me? Okay. So question from Akhil. Sir, as maximum value is hard coded for the any worst reason if the pod reached maximum value, but still traffic is heavy, then So basically, Akhil, we are going to put hundreds of pods in real time, Akhil. So even though if it go for maximum, nothing to worry about it. Okay. So in that case, automatically we can create a new server and new server will get the new pods. We can scale a lot of things in real time actually. Sir, in real time, what is the maximum pods we need to set safety for any server? So Kiran, basically, it depends upon the application. But for a single node, the maximum pod count is 110. Apart from 110 pods, you cannot create more than 110. This is the maximum value, Kiran. Okay. I hope it is clear for you now. So now tell me what is cooling period? The amount of time taken to terminate the pod after the load is decreased. Okay. It is on the technical way. But apart from that, you can tell cooling period is nothing but the time taken for the HPA to remove the pods. Anyways, you can answer. Now go and see. I'll get KubeCut, will get PO. Still it is running or not, sir? Why it is running? Because of cooling period. Okay. So here, this is the cooling period. Now I'm going to write the example of cooling period. Amount of time taken to terminate the pod after load is decreased. That's it. Simple example. Okay. Yep. No, for increasing you can give, for decreasing you can't give. It's just like our height. You can increase, but you can't decrease. Automatically load will decrease. Why? Because see, basically, here if you go to this command, here what is the time I put? That means for only 100 seconds, I want load in this pod. After 100 seconds, this load will decrease. I set a timer here. Okay, there is a timer actually. And even though here the same point I mentioned in the nodes also. If you go to the node, first of all, create the replica set or deployment, anything is fine. Set the auto scaling pods. Okay. So open the second terminal and give this command. Why? Because in second terminal, you can see the live pods, how it is going to create. And come into the first pod and run the command of stress actually. So stress command you can put up to number of seconds. Like it depends upon your choice. 10 seconds, 20, 100, 200, like completely your choice. So this is the command actually you need to give. Okay. After giving that, now you can check the terminal number 2 to get the live pods. But after decreasing the value, I mean like if after the value got decreased, stress value got decreased, but pods will be still on running status until it satisfy the cooling period. Is it done now? Now minimum how many pods you got here? One pod. You go and see minimum how many number of pods we got, sir? One pod. Why? Because during the time of setting horizontal pod auto scaling, minimum pod you desired is 1. That is the reason why it got 1. So this is the concept of horizontal pod auto scaling. So is the concept of HPA clear for all of you know? I'm going to ask only 3 questions about this concept. First of all, what is scaling and how many type of scalings we do have? Scaling is increasing the count of the pods. And why we need to scale the pods? To serve more users. When the load is increasing, to serve more users, we are going to use the scaling. And types of scaling. 2 types. First one is horizontal pod auto scaling. Second one is vertical pod auto scaling. Correct. So horizontal means what? New one. Vertical means existing one. Okay. So second question is explain the concept of how pods will be scaled. First of all, you need to start from metric server. First of all, what is a metric server? Metric server will collect the metrics of a pod or node. But metric server will be creating like a deployment. That means in each of the node, it will go and create like a pod. And to run this metric server pod, how many CPUs I want? 1 millicore. And how much of RAM? 2 MB of RAM. And I can extendable up to how many worker nodes? 5,000 worker nodes. Okay. So now how metric server will be interlinking to HPA? Directly it will interlink. For how many seconds HPA will get the values from metric server? 30 seconds. And for how many seconds metric server will collect the metrics from pods and nodes? 15 seconds. Correct. And what is the cooling period in the concept of HPA, sir? Amount of time taken to terminate the pods from the HPA. Okay. And the next period is like what is the like how the pods are going to scale actually based upon which value? Average value of the pods. Which value? But what is the best average value in real time? 60% is gonna be considered as best average value. That's it. So it is the whole and sole concept of the HPA. Okay. So now before I go for the next topic, first of all, is the concept of metric server and HPA clear for everyone here? Everybody. Online, what about you guys? Is the concept of HPA and metric server clear for all of you? Can you please confirm me on chat box once? Okay, it was clear. So now as pod increases, as per the scaling, will bill also increases. What's your opinion? I'll tell the answer. He's asking that, like one of our student, if you are increasing the pods, is the bill also going to increase? No, no or yes. There are only two options, either no or yes. How many of you say no? Raise your hands. Okay, so remaining people, can I say yes? That's it. So basically the answer for this one is no. Which one? Why? Because see, billing you are going to pay for the nodes, not for the pods. If you increase number of nodes, bill will increase. But if you increase number of pods, bill will not be increased. So Akhil, the answer for your question is for number of increment of pods, there is nothing we are going to pay bill. But if the number of nodes are going to be increased, so then we are going to pay the bill. I hope it is clear for you. Great. So with the help of the nodes and pods, with the help of the metric server, we can get the CPU and RAM utilization. Okay, somebody ask you how do you measure the CPUs and memory of a pod or node? So you are going to tell the answer is metric server. Okay, fine. So I'm going to delete all of them. So give the command kubectl delete -f dot. That means I'm going to delete all the resources from my current directory. See, in my current directory, how many manifest file are there? No, no. Cops.sh is a script actually. It's not a manifest file. So this indicate kubectl delete -f dot. This indicate all the manifest file resources are going to be deleted. But here I have only one manifest, but it's okay, fine. That got deleted. Now if I go and get kubectl get PO, are you getting any pods here? No. Why? Because it is terminating status. Which status? Don't say yes. Okay. Why? Because it's terminating. So you need to wait for some time. That's it. And next one is gonna be like daemon set. It is very, very simple concept and what do we call this one? Very easy concept. Actually, you know, deployment, right? Deployment, you know, right? What is the purpose of deployment? To update the application, to create number of pods, and for self-healing, like that. But before deployment, we have a concept called daemon set. Which one? Same manifest file without any change, same manifest file we are going to use, but only one difference will be there. How many number of differences? I'll tell what is that one difference. Let me go and tell you. I'll be writing this one, and after that we can go for doubts and queries part. Okay. So scaling means increasing the number of count actually, count of increasing the count. So why to scale? Okay, fine. So next one I'm going to teach you is about daemon set. Which one? So guys, again, it is going to be one of the interview question for all of you. Sir, what is daemon set and why we need to use it? I'm going to make it very easy for you. Just give me 1 second. Here is a daemon set. See, daemon set is nothing but it is used to create one pod per each work node. For example, let's say here in the cluster, how many worker nodes you are having, sir? How many? 2. So in these 2 worker nodes, I can create 10 pods, 20 pods, 30 pods, 100 pod also I can create. But my requirement is if I want to create only one pod per one node, in that case, I can use deployment will create n number of pods in n number of nodes. But this daemon set can create only one pod per one node. It is the oldest version of the deployment. If we create a new node, automatically Kubernetes will create a pod. For example, in this scenario, how many worker nodes are there? 2 worker nodes. But if I create a third worker node, automatically for this third worker node, now Kubernetes will create a new pod itself. It is an automatic process, guys. For this third worker node, automatically creates a new pod. In the same way, if I delete the one worker node, automatically the pod is also going to delete from the one worker node. That's it. Daemon set is used to create one pod on each worker node. So it is the oldest version of deployment. If we create a new node, a pod will be automatically created. If you delete an old node, the pod will be automatically removed. Daemon sets, in real time, daemon sets will not be removed actually. For example, you have a cluster. In cluster, you can delete replica sets, you can delete pods, you can delete nodes, you can delete deployments also. But in real time, we never ever going to delete the daemon set. Why? Because the best use case for daemon set is to collect the logs of a pod, to collect the metrics of a pod, and to monitor the pods, we are going to use the daemon set. Currently, the best example here, we are using metric server, correct or not, sir? Metric server is the best use case. What is the purpose of metric server? In each worker node, metric server is going to create like a pod, and it is going to fetch the information of CPU and RAM of the remaining pods or not, sir? That metric server will create like a daemon set. For example, if we remove the daemon set of a metric server, now how the pods and nodes will get the CPU and memory information? No. So one of the best use case for using metric server in real time is use it to create pods for logging and monitoring the nodes. And even one of the best example is metric server. So yeah, I'm writing even metric server is created like a daemon set. Daemon set. That's it. Okay. The only difference between deployment and daemon set is kind and replicas. And one of the node point is node point. In daemon set, we don't specify the replicas. Why? Because it can create only one node, sorry, one pod per one node. So we don't specify any kind of replicas there. So what I'll be doing is, so in the abc.yml, okay. So here I'm going to remove the replicas, as well as here in the kind, instead of deployment, I'm going to put here daemon set. That's it. Now go and apply this one. kubectl create -f abc.yml. Now give the command kubectl get PO. How many number of nodes I have? Worker nodes. 2 worker nodes. How many pods you got? 2 only. And even though if I create a new node, automatically new pod will come. You want to see it lively? Let me show you. Sir, how to increase the worker node? There is a command called kops edit, IG. You know this command, right? If you remember in the day one of KOps, I said this command for all of you. If you go to the top here, in the top section, kops edit IG and the name of the cluster. Here, what is the name of the cluster here? First of all, give the command kops get cluster. It is a cluster name, Raham Sheikh 007, okay? So kops edit IG hyphen name is equal to cluster and put lastly node US East 1. So this is the actual command. Okay. Copy it and paste it. So now currently how many you are seeing minimum and maximum? 2. Let's make it as 3. After making this one, now you need to run the command kops update cluster. Kops update cluster hyphen name of the cluster and put hyphen. Yes. It is the name of the cluster. And after that, finally, we are going to do the rolling activity. Which activity? Rolling activity. Now go ahead and check this one. So give the command kops rolling update. So now tell me, previously how many worker nodes you are having, sir, here? 2 worker nodes. So in each worker node, you are going to get 1 pod. And remember, in real time, in Kubernetes master, no pods will be created. Already said this point in the starting of the class. So remember, in Kubernetes, master node will not hold any pods, only worker nodes. So I create a new worker node here. So automatically a new pod is going to generate automatically or not, sir? Yes. So let's go and see. It is a new worker node with the new pod. This new pod will come automatically when the worker node starts. Go and check here manually. Currently, how many worker nodes are there here? Running status. I'm going to put running. So only 2 worker nodes are there. So third worker node is on pending status. Which status? Pending. Wait, let me go for all states. Master node. Yeah, it's got like running now. Just now it got for running status. Are you seeing node 1, node 2 and node 3? But we need to wait for 2 by 2 checks. If I go here and give the command kubectl get node. Has the node gone? Is the node got created? No, only 2 nodes are there. Where is third node here? Third node will not come until and unless we get the in 2 by 2 checks. What are the 2 by 2 checks? First one is system check, second one is status. So wait for some time until we get 2 by 2 checks here. If you go and say, I've got the third node now. It got just how many seconds ago? 46. So now if I give kubectl get PO, how many pods are there? It just got created again 47 seconds ago. Correct or not, sir? Automatically, if you create a new pod, Sorry, new node, automatically new pod will come. Same wise, if I remove a old node, automatically the pod is going to, that is the power of daemon set. So in real time, definitely we are going to use daemon set for monitoring, logging, as well as this metric server. Why? Because whenever if you create a, for example, see, initially you have two worker nodes, sir. You are monitoring these two worker nodes. Whenever if I create a third worker node instantly, I cannot go and manually create a new pod, right? So this daemon set will create a new pod automatically. So really it can save a lot of time in the real time for us actually. Why? Because let's say you are monitoring two worker nodes. At the middle of night, 12 a.m., automatically new node got created. Saying that middle of the night, are you going to create a new pod on it? Huh? No, right? Automatically pod will create itself or not, sir? That is the power of the daemon set. So definitely it is going to be one of the interview question for you. First of all, what is daemon set and why we need to use it? So tell me, what is daemon set, sir? Daemon set, first of all, it is the oldest version of deployment. It is gonna create one pod per one node. So if you create a new pod, automatically new pod will create in the new node. If you delete old node, automatically pod is going to be removed. Daemon set will not be removed at any case in the real time. So use cases like for logging, monitoring, and for metric server. And in the node point, daemon set, we do not specify the replicas. Why? Because even though if you specify, it can create only one pod per one node itself. So is the concept of daemon set clear for all of you? Everybody. Online, can you please confirm is the concept of daemon set clear for all of you? Can you please confirm in chat box? Sir, when I am trying to build a job in Jenkins, I'm not able to find the workspace. Instead of workspace, I'm having a job folder, but inside there are no files presenting in the GitHub. Swati, can you please go and verify your console output? So in the console output, you might get the exact path actually. So just verify the console output once, I can say. Okay, so that's it for today, guys. So now before going for doubts and queries, first of all, how's the class of metric server, HPA and daemon set? How's the class for all of you today? Is the class clear? Everyone. Online, can you please confirm me how's the class for all of you today? Can you please confirm me in chat box once? Okay, it was clear. Great. Sir, regarding the credit details also placed in daemon set, like you mentioned. No, we don't place the credential details here, Vikram. Okay, so you cannot place credential details in the Kubernetes like this. There is a concept called config map and secrets. There I'm going to show you how to store secret credentials in the real time actually. Okay. But again, like I was very happy. So you got the concept very clearly today. Lot of people will having very difficult to understand the scaling concept, but it become very easy for you. It's great. So now tell me if you are having any doubts or any queries over today's session or over any session of Kubernetes or like any other concept tools. So if you have any queries, you can ask me now. And the other thing I said for all of you is if you create the cluster, how you are going to delete the cluster? From the CLI or manually? CLI, correct. So the command is kops delete cluster hyphen name. It is Raham S007 dot KS dot local hyphen yes. Wait, Raham 007 it is. Raham S not. So now that single command will be deleting the entire cluster. So, but please don't delete this one manually. If you try to remove the servers manually, it's gone. And some clever people will try to remove the KOP server first. If you remove this single server, there is nothing left, entire gone. So please don't do this one, okay? So in tomorrow's session, what is the next concept I'm gonna teach you is, wait, let me tell you the next concept of tomorrow's session. Scaling done. So in tomorrow's class, I'm going to teach you the resource quotas. Which one? Resource quotas. I think the people from village background know these quotas. What is quota? Quota, man, quota. In village, you heard about this word quota, right? Uh, so basically, quota means what you will get. Like the share, I can say it as share actually. Share. Okay, for example, in village background, if you go, for every month you will get some share of rice, some share of sugar, wheat, oil, everything, right? That is quota. So in Kubernetes also we have the concept called quotas actually. Sir, can I please have your Telegram channel name? So Swati, like it is directly in the Telegram channel. You can go and search Raham. Automatically it will come. Okay. Search for the name Raham itself. You'll get it. And still any queries from you, offline or online? Man, doubts, no doubts, huh? Everything clear, huh? I'll expect at least 10 doubts from you daily, but you will ask zero doubts. Huh? After that also you might get some doubts, right? At least one or two. Okay, fine. Then you are good students actually. Okay. So anything from online? Any questions you want me to ask? Basically, what is the best thing you have, What is the best thing? For example, if you go to anywhere, you need to follow the trainer for the doubts and queries, right? But your trainer is following you, any doubts or any queries. At least 10 times I'll ask in a day, in a least case. I don't know why is happening reverse here. I don't know why. You can tell it later also. You can tell it later also. Okay. So, till anything you want me to ask? By the way, how's the Kubernetes classes? Is it easy or difficult? As of now. I mean, the people who is practicing daily, raise your hands once. So this question is only for you, the people who is practicing. So after practicing, how's the Kubernetes concepts? Easy. Easier, difficult, or like intermediate? How? Intermediate? Okay. Sir, do we have class tomorrow? Yes, we do have. Hmm? Tomorrow we have class, man. Sir, if one project using Docker and Kubernetes, Docker use Max for image building, is it correct? Yes, sir. Vikram, in Kubernetes also, I'm going to show you how to deploy the project in the Argo CD. Okay, it's a very high-end project. I'll show you. If I have one master and I'll delete the master, how to communicate with the nodes? So, Usma, already we seen this in the class itself. Basically, like what she's asking, I mean, like what they are asking, let me explain. Wait. Sir, for example, in this diagram, if you remember in the day one, I said this concept actually, but again, I'll recap for you. Why? Because you have some queries on it. And why this screen is not sharing? Online, are you able to see my screen? Hello. Okay, fine. So let's take you are having one master and two worker nodes. So by default, this master is going to communicate with this worker nodes. But if I delete this master, automatically auto scaling group will create a new master, and this new master will communicate with the, it is the automatic process. If you go to the KOps day one, I shown it lively for you. Why? Because I know in future you might get this doubt. That is the reason I said this concept on that day only. So it is the automatic process of Usma, like it will be done by itself. Yep, great. Okay then. So are we good for today? So let's meet on tomorrow session with some new topic. Have a great day. Bye. Thank you.